Hey guys, welcome to the King Lincoln Show. This is just a show about me and things I'm interested in and my thoughts and feelings and opinions and just general stuff I want to talk about. Um, and I wanted to start by just like telling you some shit about me and like how I grew up and stuff like that. So, this is probably going to be really random and rambly. I haven't like prepared this or anything. I'm just gonna tell you guys. Anyway, when I grew up, I had like a kind of shitty childhood. Not as shitty as some people. Like I didn't get really physically abused or like sexually abused or like molested or anything. Um, I always had like food to eat and a place to sleep and all that type of stuff. I grew up, I guess you would say, kind of lower middle class, and but it was still shitty in a lot of ways that I think kind of really fucked me up, and I think I am kind of fucked up. Not as much as some people, but still, kinda. And one of the biggest things that like happened to me was my dad was kind of like a crazy person, so he had really bad like anger issues and stuff. He was like super angry and like you would never know what would set him off. Like you would never know what would get him angry. It was always random little shits that like no one would ever predict. And it could happen at pretty much any time. And then like sometimes it would just like never end. You know, what once he got going, it was just like for the rest of the day, the rest of the evening or whatever, it would just never end. And like one of his like biggest underlying fears was about money and running out of money. So I have three sisters, so it's four kids, and he just had some kind of like not really great job. I don't think he may ever made any more than about like 50, possibly 60K a year. Um, and this was a while ago, so you know that was you can adjust that for inflation yourself or whatever. But he was always like his underlying thing when you think about it is always about like trying not to run out of money. So if you do anything that might damage the house or like anything that costs money, like you eat too much food, you use too much of some fucking product, or you do any random little thing that might end up eventually costing like any amount of money, he would like explode about it. And that was like one of his biggest underlying fears. And everything kind of connected back to that in a way. And really he's the kind of person, he shouldn't have got married, like he shouldn't have had kids. He should have just like done his own thing and just been responsible for himself type thing. But yeah, so um any random thing could get him like fucking angry, like um just someone like leaves something there, like who left that cup there? No one remembers who put the fucking cup there. It's just a fucking cup. And he would just like go off his rocker about it and be like shouting about this fucking cup and all this stuff. And everyone would be like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And he'd be all like, oh, it's Mr. Nobody. Mr. Nobody did it. No one did it. Blah, blah, blah. And we'd be like, dude, it's a fucking cup. Like, no one like registers like everything about who left what cup where because it doesn't fucking matter. It's not significant. But to him, he was like really angry about this fucking cup being in a particular place or that's just an example, some random shit like that. And he was also angry that no one like remembered, like someone should be like, oh yes, I was the one who left the cup there. Sorry, father. Like, I don't know what the fuck reaction he was expecting, but he would get very angry about random shit like that. And like, oh, when you have a shower, like you have to open the window and like open it this much, but not this much, and like just different random retarded shit. Like you could never predict what random ass little detail like of the minutia of life would get him fucking angry as if like the world was ending. It was fucking crazy. So yeah, so it was kind of just like a toxic environment to grow up in type thing. Like you were never fully relaxed. Like it wasn't that there were never like good times and laughs and stuff in our family, but it was like you were always walking on eggshells. It was like you were never fully relaxed. You never just like felt good, you know? Like even if on the surface you felt good, you had this like underlying background thing of like stress and like fear and like worry about what was going to happen next and what's the next evening going to be like, or what's the next thing that's going to set our dad off and get him more angry, or what's going to be the next fight or argument or whatever, what's going to be the next fucking blow up or whatever. um and I don't know if to you that sounds like that bad. That's another part of it is like I think I'm like a really sensitive person, like just the way I'm wired. And I reckon I was like a really sensitive kid. Like I absorbed everything and like everything affected me like a lot, like possibly more than like possibly quite a bit more than average. Like I really felt everything a lot. I really needed like peace and like quiet, and like I really would have loved to have like just a loving environment, obviously, who wouldn't? But yeah, I reckon this kind of stuff like it was particularly bad for me because of how I was wired type thing. Like that shit was like, yeah, even worse for me because of how I was. But yeah, and yeah, and my mom was like not really good with this. Like he and her would like fight and argue and stuff. Um, but largely she would just stay quiet. Like her coping mechanism was like don't say anything, like go quiet, retreat type thing. And she tried to teach that to me. Like she just taught that to us. She was like, just like, oh, shh, don't say anything. Just like, don't complain. Like, shh, just be quiet. Don't worry. Like, she was basically trying to be like quiet and like docile enough that the whole thing would just like blow over like as quickly as possible. But that meant that like nothing ever got addressed, you know? Like things just stayed how they were. It's kind of like enabling in a way. Um, But I think because I was just a little kid and I was kind of powerless and all that, I think I really did internalize that thing of like retreat from conflict, like retreat from confrontation. It's not safe. Um, just like be quiet, just like be on your own. Like that's the safest kind of thing. And that's definitely like played out throughout my life. And that's like not been a good thing, I would say. Like in life, like one of the most important things is like difficult conversations and social skills and like being able to meet new people and relate to people. And I fucking suck at most of that stuff, and it has like fucked me up a lot, I reckon. And it all stems back from like those early days. But yeah, and they would have like once we gone to bed or whatever, they would have these like whisper shouting matches. Like they would be like arguing and like being angry, like once we gone to bed and stuff. But I could hear them being like, like kind of whisper shouting at each other, like don't do this, like don't do that, like oh so bad for the kids and all this stuff and like all this different stuff they were talking about. And I would like listen at the door and be like, are they talking about me? Like, what are they talking about? Because I was trying to predict what was going to happen, like what tomorrow was going to be like and stuff. And my dad would do this crazy thing where he would like he would be angry about something and then we would all go to bed and stuff. But then at a random time, like when we were sleeping, he'd burst back into our rooms and be like, and this and this and this and blah, 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 and shout some more because he felt like shouting some more. At a random time in the night, like we might have been in bed for like an hour and he would just like burst in and like be like, ah, and start going off his rocker again. And this could happen like 3 more times, like in the night. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to relax or sleep? Like, that could happen to you at any time. How are you ever supposed to be like at ease if you're growing up like that? You know what I mean? So yeah. And another one of his things was he was like a religious nut. I'm saying was because like this stuff is in the past. He's still alive and he's calmed down a lot now. Like he's a lot more chill now. And I think a lot of that is to do with like now being retired and not having kids to pay for everything and stuff. So his situation is different. So, you know, he's more chill now because he's able to be. Um, but yeah, both my parents were really religious. But he was like crazy religious nut with like Christianity, born again Christianity. And he would do this weird thing where he had this obsession, like this hobby, where he called it witnessing, and it's basically he would go out just to like random places like the street, like the beach, the park, and just walk around and try to engage random people in conversation about Christianity and try to convert them to Christianity. And obviously, a lot of people would just ignore him, and a lot of people would just be like, "Oh yeah, oh better be going." Some people probably told him to fuck off. Like, he probably tried to talk to crazy people and then they like got mad or something. But occasionally he would find someone like retarded enough with like a loose enough schedule to actually like talk to about Christianity. And he'd talk to them, he'd like talk to them for fucking hours about like Christianity and all this shit. And like often when he would do this, um like he would like take us to the park or take us to the beach or something. But then he'd go find some random person to talk to and like witness to or whatever. And it might have been, you know, after school at like, you know, 4 p.m. or something that we went to the park or the beach. But then he would be there for hours talking to this person, telling them all about the fucking Christianity and Jesus and all this shit. And it would be like getting dark, getting cold, like our dinner would have gone cold and all this shit. And it became like a fucking survival situation. And like every now and then we would go up to him and he'd be like, and Jesus and blah, blah, the Christ and the cross and the sins, blah, blah, to this poor fucking person who he'd bailed up. And we'd be like, Dad, we're cold and hungry and it's like 7 p.m. and we came out here at like 4 p.m. or it's like nighttime and we're fucking cold. Can we go home? And he's like, yeah, in a minute, in a minute. And then like another fucking hour would pass and they're like, man, when can we go home? Is this our life now? We live at the fucking park. This isn't fun. And it was really weird, and retarded. Um, and it might not seem like a big deal to you, but like all these, there's a lot of different shit that I could tell you about with all this crazy stuff. And it was a long time ago now, obviously, so it's hard to remember all the details of all the nuanced little crazy stuff. But this shit was pretty intense, like especially when you're a kid. Like when you're growing up and this is all you know, and this is how you form your idea of what the world is like. It's pretty hectic. And I don't know if it seems like a big deal to you or not, but it definitely was to me. And when you put it all together, it really doesn't like build you into like a well-adjusted, confident person. It's like the impression I got from all of it and just a lot of other stuff that I could tell you was like I wasn't really that valuable. I wasn't really that important. I wasn't really that capable. And the world was basically like a shitty, scary place. Um, and some of that, I mean, some of that is kind of accurate. The world is pretty fucked up, but thinking you're not valuable or capable, like that's not a very like that's not going to make you very well adjusted in life. Um, but that's kind of how I grew up, and yeah, uh, and we were kind of weird. Like we didn't have TV growing up, which that is kind of good in some ways, but it kind of alienated us from our like peers and stuff. Everyone was like, "You don't have TV? Oh my god, what do you do?" And they would be like talking about some show, and I would have no idea what they were talking about. And yeah, and my parents being all like crazy and religious, like they taught us lots about fucking stupid religious stuff that all turns out to be bullshit. You know, God and Jesus and heaven and hell and all this shit, but they didn't teach us very many life skills. And we didn't have many like friends come over. We went to a Christian school that was like far away from our house, so it was, kind of hard for us to have, many friends over and stuff, or we just kind of didn't, that our parents didn't really have like that many friends and stuff. Like it was quite insular. And also the school I went to, oh, that fucking school. It was also quite small and insular and kind of cult-like in a way. Not exactly, but kind of. Like it was this stupid school where like to be a teacher there, you had to prove that you went to church every Sunday and stuff like that, or you went to church regularly. So you had to be like a religious nut to even teach at this school. So really awesome selection criteria. And I had some crazy ass teachers that I can tell you about another time. But yeah, and so I when I was a kid, like I wasn't like confident. I would slouch. Yeah, you would see me on all the photos. I'm like slouching down, looking kind of sheepish. I wasn't confident. I was like shy, kind of chronically shy. Um, yeah, I found it hard to like make friends and be confident and stuff. I was smart, I was really smart and creative, and I loved like drawing and like writing and stuff, and like imagining and thinking of ideas. But yeah, I was just kind of like shy, not confident. And I kind of hated life, like from like as far back as I can remember, even being a little kid. I just remember thinking that life was insane, everyone was insane, and life was just absurd, like nothing made sense. Like I would go to school and I would just be like, why am I here? Like, what the fuck is this shit? Like even when I was like 5 years old, I'm pretty sure I was just like what the fuck is happening? Like what is life? Like what is school? Like what the fuck is going on? Like how does any of this make sense? And like this is all just like really weird and retarded. Like from as far back as I can remember, I just feel like feeling the world is just like hostile, like this hostile alien place that doesn't really make any sense, and everyone is insane, and there's nowhere really to turn to like, don't worry, this person or this source of information or whatever is like sane and makes sense and everything's going to be fine. Which I don't necessarily think something like that exists. I don't think it does, but I was kind of aware of like the meaninglessness and absurdity of life from like a really young age, I think. And I really thought deeply about stuff and like really wondered about it all. So yeah. And one other thing is like I would just go and like walk around the streets when I was like pretty young. Not sure what age I started to be allowed to do that, but in like primary school, pretty young, I would just walk around the streets and like go to the park and go to different places and just like be by myself and play imaginary games and stuff. Imagine I had a sword and I was like going around like slaying monsters or whatever it was, or like, and often I go with my sisters and we'd, just like walk around the different streets and parks or go like rollerblading or some shit. And I didn't really realize until later that a lot of what I was doing was trying to stay away from the house. Like I thought I was just going off and, trying to have fun and have adventures and stuff, but really I would think I was looking for some peace. I was looking for some like quiet and solitude, and I just didn't want to be in that house in that environment anymore. But I didn't realize that at the time. So yeah. So, I guess I'm grateful for the good things I did have. I always had a bed to sleep in, a roof over my head, food, and like, I'm Australian. I was born in a great country and all this type of shit, but it doesn't take away from the fucked up stuff that happened that really did fuck me up and was kind of scary and painful and sad. A lot of people have it way worse than me. Yes, I accept that. And a lot of people had way shittier childhoods than I've had. And some people are way more fucked up than I am. But I accept all that. But that doesn't mean my shit isn't real and that it isn't a real thing, or it isn't important, at least to me, and that it doesn't have a real effect and stuff like that. And I really don't like the whole thing of like people trying to one up each other on how, bad they had it, or be like, oh, people in Africa, they have it worse, so like you shouldn't complain. All right, yeah, they have it worse, and that's really sad and that's really bad, but it doesn't mean that, the pains and like stuff that I've been through is nothing and is insignificant, So yeah. Um, so yeah, I'll leave it there for today, and then I'll tell you some more shit another time. So hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found this interesting. First episode of the King Lincoln Show in the books, and I'll see you guys later.